If you've never been to rural Illinois, you probably think it's just corn. Miles and miles of corn. Flat land. Quiet roads. Nothing happening. But that's exactly what makes it unsettling. Because when nothing looks like it's happening, that's usually when something is. Today we're talking about weird rural Illinois, the small towns, forgotten places, local legends, and deeply uncomfortable vibes that don't make the tourism brochures. This is the Illinois you don't see from the interstate. The Illinois where people wave at you even though they don't know you. The Illinois where abandoned buildings sit untouched for decades, and everyone just kind of agrees not to talk about them. Welcome to rural Illinois. Let's start with the feeling. Rural Illinois has a very specific atmosphere. It's quiet in a way that feels intentional. Roads stretch on forever, dead straight, with no turns and no signs of life. You can drive for 20 minutes and see one farmhouse, one rusted grain silo, and one mailbox leaning at a suspicious angle. And when you do hit a town, it's often too quiet. Main streets with beautiful old brick buildings, vintage signage, a courthouse square that looks like it was frozen in 1954. But there's no one around. No cars. No noise. Just a flag flapping somewhere and maybe a radio playing faintly through an open window. And here's the thing, these towns are alive. People live there. You just don't see them until they see you. You stop for gas and suddenly every head turns. You walk into a diner and conversations pause. Not in a hostile way, just in a "who are you and why are you here?" way. It's not threatening, just observant. And that's the baseline vibe for everything else we're about to talk about. 2. The towns that time forgot. Illinois is full of towns that peaked a long time ago and then just stayed. Cairo, Illinois. At one point Cairo was booming. It sat at the confluence of the Mississippi and Ohio rivers. River trade, industry, money flowing through. Beautiful mansions. Grand architecture. Now, it's almost completely abandoned. Entire blocks are empty. Buildings are collapsing in slow motion. Trees grow through roofs. The population dropped from thousands to a few hundred. And the creepiest part, people still live there. You can walk past 10 abandoned houses, then suddenly one porch has lights on. Someone's watching TV inside a building that looks like it shouldn't exist anymore. Cairo also has a reputation for being haunted, cursed, or doomed, depending on who you ask. Floods, racial violence, economic collapse. It's one of those places where history feels heavy, like it never fully left. Other near ghost towns. Cairo isn't alone. All over rural Illinois, there are towns with schools, closed churches, movie theaters that haven't shown a film since the 80s, hand-painted for sale signs that have clearly been there for years. Some towns don't even bother updating their welcome signs. Population numbers are wrong. Businesses listed don't exist anymore. But nobody changes it. 'Cause everyone knows. 3. Strange people, stranger stories. Small towns mean small populations, which means everyone knows everyone. And when someone doesn't fit, they stand out forever. Every rural Illinois town has that guy. That house. That thing that happened that we don't talk about. And if you ask locals, they'll usually say, "Oh yeah, that was weird. The man who never left his yard." There are stories of people who lived decades without leaving their property. No job. No visitors. Just existing. Mail gets dropped at the edge of the driveway. Groceries get left nearby. Nobody questions it. 'Cause that's just how it is. The house everyone avoids. There are houses that everyone knows not to mess with. Not officially abandoned. Not officially occupied. Just there. Kids dare each other to touch the fence. Teenagers swear they saw lights turn on. Adults refuse to drive past it at night for reasons they can't fully explain. And nobody ever calls the cops. Because you don't want to be the person who started something. 4. Cults, communes, and religious weirdness. Illinois has cult history. Zion, Illinois. Zion was founded in 1901 as a religious utopia by a faith healer who banned modern medicine. The town was built entirely around his beliefs. For a while it worked, until it didn't. Corruption, power struggles, bizarre rules, and eventual collapse turned Zion into a cautionary tale of what happens when religion, control, and isolation mix. And while Zion today is just a regular town, that origin story never fully goes away. Small rural sects. Rural Illinois has always been perfect cult territory. Cheap land. Isolation. Communities that mind their business. There are quiet religious groups living off-grid, homeschooling, avoiding outsiders, and running things their own way. Most are harmless. Some are unsettling. And locals usually know exactly where they are, and exactly where not to go. 5. Haunted Illinois. Illinois doesn't get the haunted reputation that places like Louisiana or New England get. But it should. Resurrection Mary. One of the most famous ghost stories in the state. A woman in a white dress, hitchhiking along Archer Avenue near Chicago, but rural areas have their own versions. Ghost hitchhikers. Ghost lights. Figures standing at the edge of cornfields at night. Rural cemeteries. Illinois cemeteries hit different. Teeny. Surrounded by nothing. You'll find graves from the 1800s, entire families wiped out within weeks, children buried without last names, headstones with no dates, just initials. And sometimes, graves that look disturbed. Locals will tell you, animals. But they won't look at you when they say it. Abandoned asylums and schools. There are schools that closed suddenly and never reopened. Hospitals where floors are sealed off. Buildings everyone swears they hear noises from, even though they're locked and empty. And of course the classic. They tore it down but people still see it. 6. Cornfields at night. If you've never been in a cornfield at night, you don't understand fear. Corn is tall. And loud. It moves even when there's no wind. You can hear footsteps that aren't yours. You lose your sense of direction immediately. Sounds echo strangely. Farmers tell stories of hearing voices, seeing lights, finding paths that weren't there before. And the thing is, cornfields have swallowed people. Accidents happen. People get lost. Machinery doesn't stop fast. Sometimes someone goes missing and is found days later. Sometimes they're not. 7. Unsolved and unexplained. Rural Illinois has its share of disappearances and unsolved crimes. And they don't always make national news. Because when something happens in a town of 600 people, it stays there. Locals remember. Outsiders never hear about it. Stories where someone vanished after a bonfire. A car was found with no driver. A person left home and never came back, and no one knows why. And what makes it creepier is how people talk about it. Not dramatically. Not emotionally. Yeah, that was strange. 8. Why it sticks with you. Here's the thing. Rural Illinois isn't scary because monsters are hiding in the corn. It's scary because of what's left unsaid. People don't overshare. History doesn't get erased, it just gets buried. Places don't disappear, they decay slowly, in public view. There's a sense that everything is being watched by time itself. And when you leave, you feel like the town noticed, like it clocked your license plate, like it'll remember you. So the next time you're driving through Illinois and thinking, there's nothing here, remember that nothing is doing a lot of work. Behind the cornfields are stories. Behind the silence is memory. And behind the friendly waves are things people learned not to question. If you're from rural Illinois, you already know. And if you're not, maybe don't take that unmarked road at night. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments the weirdest thing you've ever seen in a small town.